Game 47 ahead for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight as they take on the Vegas Golden Knights in Las Vegas. And there's a few different reasons to get up for this one. If the motivation of trying to get back into a playoff spot and being bumped into a wild card spot wasn't enough of something that's happened over the last couple of days, as the Buffalo Sabres have made up ground and other teams around them have either surpassed them or caught them or whatever. They're now sitting 1 point out of a playoff spot here yet again. So if the jostling for a playoff spot wasn't enough to motivate this group, well, you could then look to Tuesday night's game against the Utah Mammoth and losing 6-1 in that one. It was probably the most embarrassing loss of the season when you consider just score effects and the margin of loss that took place against the Utah Mammoth. Obviously, if you're to consider embarrassing losses in terms of the way that they played throughout this season, it's not even close. I'm willing to give them the excuse. I know a lot of people in the Leafs Nation After Dark and in the comments after said, "Are you fucking soft? You're giving them an excuse?" Well, yeah, I am, because there's travel, you're changing time zones, you're dealing with the altitude, and you're coming off on a very emotional and physically taxing game against the Colorado Avalanche on Monday night, one of which you won against a team that not only just doesn't lose, but doesn't lose at home, and yet you found a way to beat the Avs in their own barn on Monday night in overtime. Then you travel to Utah, you play them the very next day, you have your backup goaltender in. It was just a prime letdown spot, and that's exactly what took place. It was a letdown. I think watching that game, it didn't feel like a 6-1 game the way that we've seen some of the losses take place before. Now, that said, with the excuse that I'm giving them of fatigue and the back-to-back and the emotional letdown, yada, 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 that all doesn't matter anymore if they don't show up for this game tonight. You talk about games that get circled on the calendar, whether the guys in that room have circled this one or not. There's a guy on the other side who, despite the fucking lying that goes on through his teeth when he says, "I haven't thought about this game at all." Right. This has been a game that has been circled on his and probably his dad's calendar for a long, long, long time. Probably actually since last year when this team went into Vegas and this guy was probably off meandering about looking at real estate because he knew he was leaving. He always knew he was leaving. And so he was ready to play this game, to go head-to-head against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and to show them why they need him so badly and why he's so missed and why he's so important. So this one, is going to be marked on his calendar. And there's going to be money on the board, and this is a game that he's going to be getting up for. So the Toronto Maple Leafs better be prepared, because if he's going to be ready and the fan base is ready, they need to be ready as well. You need to show up in this game. You need to bring your A game, if not just for a push for the playoffs and getting yourself back into position here to be holding on to a wild card spot at the end of the night. If it's not just to respond off of the egg you laid on Tuesday in Utah, that matter of playing Mitch Marner in Las Vegas in the first time you're going head-to-head with them this season should have you absolutely rearing to go here tonight in this game. This team needs to be ready. This is the most media that group in Vegas will have seen all season long, and probably will see until Friday of next week, and then probably will see until the playoffs after that. The most they're going to experience all season long is going to be with Toronto and going head-to-head. All eyes will be on the Maple Leafs and Golden Knights, no matter what time the game is at. If this team doesn't show up and isn't prepared to play tonight, the doubts will start to creep back in about their overall makeup and whether or not they can actually do this. Because as much as we want to talk about how amazing that stretch was since December 23rd when Marc Savard was fired, it all gets washed away if you go into this game against Vegas, who's coming in on a 5-game win streak, and you don't show up prepared. If you don't show up from the opening puck drop ready to play, ready to bring the intensity, ready to bring some excitement to this game, questions start to creep in again. There's going to be a lot of media, a lot of fans, and a lot of people around the NHL in general watching this game tonight. you got to show up. You got to be ready to go. With that, let's go down over to our lines for tonight's game, courtesy of Daily Faceoff. Today's game preview, as always, is a presentation of Bet365. I'm Zack Phillips. Let's get into it. So we have some news for today. We'll obviously break these down. I don't have too much to say about the lines in general. Obviously, Monday night's game against Colorado was chef's kiss. That's the best game I think they played not only all season, but probably over like the last 10 years of this group when you consider an entire team effort and special teams showing up the way they did and goaltending and defense and systematically, like everything about that game, energy, tempo, intensity, it was there for the Maple Leafs against Colorado. So if everybody does that or tries to replicate what they did on Monday night, no notes. Like, do that again and you're fine. What we do have are some lineup changes and some notes to make from today's morning skate and from Tuesday night into tonight. So first of all, anybody who saw the reports that Matthew Nies did not skate this morning, do not worry. He did not skate due to maintenance. He will play in tonight's game against Vegas. Go down the lineup there as well. The other one you're going to notice on your screens, a flashing red icon over on Daily Faceoff next to Nic Robertson. So Nic Robertson left Monday night's game against Colorado early after blocking a shot off the inside of the leg. He said that it felt like his leg was broken, and honestly, I don't blame him. You take a shot like that, you can't put any weight on it, your leg is in a serious amount of pain, probably caught him in a really awkward, uncomfortable spot to the point where, you can sometimes have your leg or your arm or your hand or wherever it is that gets hit just go completely numb. You can't feel anything. You can't put weight on it. You can't use it. Seemed like that was probably the case for Nic Robertson. And then once that adrenaline starts wearing off, now all of a sudden it's just pure pain. Looks like he'll be ready to go tonight, going to slot into tonight's lineup, and Matthew Nies will play as well. So Calle Järnkrok comes out from Tuesday night's lineup there. What you're seeing on Daily Faceoff, I don't think is what you'll see tonight. If it is, I'm not in love with this. What we did see at morning skate was Nic Robertson, third line right wing, Easton Cowan, third line left wing. Matthew Nies did not skate. Calle Järnkrok was in. If I were to do anything with this lineup, it would be to put Matthew Nies on the fourth line with Scott Laughton and Steven Lorentz and leave Robertson on that third line with Waugh and Cowan, leave Michelli with Tavares and Nylander, and then leave the first line as it is. When Matthews went on that little bit of a tear, the best stretch of hockey that he's had so far this season, it was with McMann and Domi. I would just let that be. Bobby McMann is playing some awesome hockey right now. Keep giving him that opportunity. Keep giving him that little bit of a promotion that you've given him over the last little while. Like, let's ride this out, and let's continue to see what Auston Matthews can do with those guys. Because if Matthews can make it work with two guys who are technically supposed to play lower in your lineup, it pushes other guys down a little bit, i.e. Nylander to line 2, i.e. Robertson and Cowan line 3, i.e. Matthew Nies into somewhere in your middle to bottom 6, and then it just gives you more depth. It gives you more layers of attack. So wherever it is you want to put Matthew Nies, okay, we can have that debate, which I'll also drop the comments down in the chat below. I want to see how you guys feel about this, but if I were to look at this lineup tonight, I'm leaving Matthew Nies onto that fourth line and putting Nic Robertson onto the third line with Waugh and Cowan. The game can adjust, and you can move guys around as things go throughout the course of 60 minutes here tonight against Vegas, but I'm starting this one Robertson, left wing, third line, Nies, fourth line, right wing. And part of this is just Craig Berube has been playing much more balanced minutes. Like, this is the thing that I want to drill through Leafs fans' heads, because I brought up the idea of Nylander playing with Laughton and Lorentz, and everyone was like, look at this idiot putting Nylander on the fourth line. This guy knows fuck all. And it's like, the point is not about Nylander playing on the fourth line. The point is Nylander playing with Scott Laughton. Scott Laughton is not a fourth line centerman. Scott Laughton is slotted on Daily Faceoff or on a depth chart as your fourth line centerman. Look at the minutes usage. Look at how Craig Berube is utilizing Laughton and Lorentz in that, quote, fourth line. Calle Yarncroke played with Scott Laughton and Steven Lorentz in the last game against Utah and played significantly less minutes than them. Some of that comes on the penalty kill. I understand that. But he's using Laughton and Lorentz in a lot more situations and putting other people out with them. Sometimes there's a chance for Laughton to go take a D-zone draw somewhere so you can free up Matthews. You could free up Tavares so that they don't have to start in the D-zone. But maybe that means you can start Laughton on a line and play Nylander on that line as well. You get possession, and now you have William Nylander out there with Scott Laughton, and they can start because Laughton is winning a lot of draws right now. The point is here, if you put Matthew Nies onto that line, you achieve a few different things. One, you get a full-blown, hard-to-handle, big, physical, heavy fourth line. They will be a tough checking line that causes problems on the forecheck, that can get in the corners, below the goal line, on defensemen, closing out time and space fast. Matthew Nies is also a skilled player. Despite being a big, strong, heavy guy, he's a skilled player. Scott Laughton, as much as people want to shit on him, is a skilled player. He's a guy who can score goals and put up some points. It hasn't come as much as we'd like it to here in Toronto. It's been a little bit more timely than anything, but he's a guy who can produce offensively. I think he would benefit from having some more skilled players around him in a guy like Matthew Nies. I think that would work pretty well. So that's kind of the direction that I would lean there. And then you leave Lorentz, just works hard, defensively responsible, can pot a goal or two every now and then. That's the way I would go about it. The other thing to consider for people, what are your other options? You could move Bobby McMann or Max Domi out. Matthews is seeming to find chemistry with both of those guys, so do you really want to break it up that much? Because when Nies goes with Matthews over the last little while, it hasn't actually looked as great as it has with Matthews, McMann, and Domi. Just being honest. And maybe some of that is just coincidence. Maybe it's just, hey, Matthews and his line mates have played really well in this game and against this matchup, and that's, just what we should be looking at. That's the surface level. That's where it should start and it should stop. But when you've considered Matthews, Nies, and player X as their right winger, those combinations and those games to this point in the season just haven't been as successful. Nies has found more success on different lines, whether it's with Tavares and Nylander or if it is lower in your lineup, than he has with Austin Matthews so far this year. It also gives you more depth of attack if he can come on a third line or a fourth line in these games, come out and play 14 to 17 minutes, and then kind of approach it that way. Now, the other thing is Michelli. I don't think he's a fit for your bottom six. I think he's a top six or bust kind of guy. And to credit Michelli, he's playing fucking awesome right now. So why would you break that up? Why would you take him out of a spot with Nylander, with Tavares, with more skilled players? Why would you move that guy from there? I think he's earned a top six spot. I think he's playing the right way. I think the offense is showing through here right now. And if he can continue to build chemistry with John Tavares, with William Nylander, I think you're going to have a very tough to handle second line. Why would you remove Michelli? Now to your third line, which obviously on Daily Faceoff right now is not listed as such. I don't hate the Nies, Waugh, Cowan line. I actually do kind of like it. But the counterpoint to it, or the other side of this, is does Nic Robertson get the most out of his line mates, and do his line mates get the most out of Nic Robertson if he's on that fourth line and if he's in those matchups? I don't think it works as well, Robertson, Laughton, Lorentz, as it does Robertson, Waugh, Cowan. I just think, again, we're not playing EA, NHL, Be a GM, or video games here. But when you play video games and you're doing a Be a GM or be a franchise or build a franchise mode or whatever, and you look at it and it's like, wow, these players, their cards match up and they get these synergies and they work together. I'm oversimplifying it, but I think that's kind of what you've got out of Nic Robertson, Nick Waugh, and Easton Cowan right now. The way these guys feed off each other, the speed and skill that they're able to kind of contribute, I think makes the most sense. And then I think Matthew Nies then naturally falls into your fourth line. And again, final point on this before we move on to defense, power play, and our best bet. Craig Berube is sharing the minutes pretty evenly, even from top line down. Other than a couple of times where we've had Austin Matthews peak over the 20-minute mark and just be the guy that Craig Berube is given the tap to over and over again, it's been relatively even. You know, you could look a couple of times, Calle Jarnkrok gets his minutes cut. That's fair. A guy leaves with injury, his minutes dip below 10, or maybe somebody has the not the greatest night, his minutes dip a little bit. But otherwise, it's pretty much like your fourth line plays 11 to 12 minutes. Occasionally, Scott Laughton and Steven Lorentz, especially because of penalty killing situations, are playing 14. A couple of nights, Scott Laughton has played really well. He's played 16, 17, 18 minutes, and he's gotten bumped up. Then you go to your third line. They're playing 14, 15. Your second line is playing 16, 17, 18. Your top line is playing 17 to 19. Like, even sometimes pushing up to 20. Everyone's within that 10-minute bubble. So I don't think it makes it that difficult for you, if you're Craig Berube, to load the lines up 1 through 4 rather than making it super top heavy and then be able to go line after line after line, because that's the hardest it is for a team to match up. It's not that difficult for a team long term to play the Maple Leafs if they're like, we can shut down lines 1 and 2. And now the third lines and the fourth lines is just, it's taking candy from a baby out there, because we can just eat when we go out on the ice against these guys and just absolutely burn them, which has been a problem in years past. Why not shake this thing out and give yourself more depth? Those are your forward lines. A long-winded way to break down the forwards. But if you are in the chat or if you're in the comments right now, drop why you agree or disagree with what I said about tonight's lineup and who you'd put with who. D pairings, keeping it the same. Morgan Rielly, Brandon Carlo, first pair. Jake McCabe, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, second pair. Simone Benoit, Troy Stecher, third pair. Not going to say too much about this. I like these pairings. The only thing I will put out there, Morgan Rielly, another -4 night tonight. He needs to be better, and I expect him to be better. I think the whole team struggled the other night. But we want to point out Morgan Rielly, and I'm not trying to come to his defense because he had a really, really tough game against Utah on Tuesday. But we're all very quick to look at Troy Stetcher's -3 and just brush it under the rug. And I'm not trying to point fingers at Troy Stecher. I'm just saying everyone struggled in that one. Even a guy that we look at and have put on a pedestal this year, and I'm in there as well, of saying Troy Stecher has been unbelievable. We're just like pretending it never happened. So I'm just saying, let's chill out a tiny bit. I'm not defending Morgan Rielly, but like everyone struggled on Tuesday. So let's not be so quick to look at Rielly's -4 and be like, this guy's fucking awful, get him the fuck out of here. Troy Stecher was also -3, and different guys in this lineup. McCabe, Carlo also came in at like -2s, -1s. The only guy who comes out scotch-free on that one is Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who finished a +1 in a 6-1 loss, which is kind of unbelievable, to be honest with you. But those are your defensive pairings. Power play remains the same as well. Nylander, Matthews, Tavares, Rielly, and Matias Michelli, Unit 1. Unit 2 for tonight, Easton Cowan, Bobby McMann, Matthew Nies, Max Domi, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I'm not going to do X's and O's or lineup stuff on the power play. Just a note, they have cooled off a little bit in the last couple of games power play wise. They've still had some dangerous looks, but production itself has not been there. So need to get that going again. Need to be scoring. It's great to look good. It's great to get shots on goal. But if you aren't contributing, if you aren't putting up points and scoring on your power play and on your special teams, like, it's not good in the long run. So the Maple Leafs power play needs to get going here again. Goaltending, Joseph Woll facing off against likely Adin Hill. Unconfirmed, obviously, Vegas coming into this one off a back-to-back on their own. Played the LA Kings last night. Played a really good game against the LA Kings. It looks like this one might be Adin Hill. Unsure as of right now, but that's probably the way that I would lean. Those are your goaltending matchups. Let's now get to our best bet. Our best bet is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use promo code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. That's code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you're someone who knows gambling problem, visit connectsontario.ca. All right, best bets. Jump over to Bet365 here for these. And also a note for people who are keeping track on the season. We are now down 0.5 units again. We are fluctuating with this team more than anything possible right now. The team went on a slider. We went on a slider. We went down 7.9 units. The team goes on a heater since Christmas. We go on a heater since Christmas. We got up 0.25 units the other day after the Colorado game. Now going to need to get this back on track because we lost 2 against Utah. Matthews anytime, Michelli anytime. Both fell short, so we lose 0.75 units. 3/4 of a unit on that Tuesday night game against Utah. Tonight, going to try to turn this around. One bet, and we're going to keep it simple. But quickly, before we get there, let's take a look at side and total in this one. Maple Leafs, plus 120 on the money line. Golden Knights, minus 140. Total of 6 in this. 6, minus 115 over, minus 105 under. I don't know where I would lean on the total. To be honest with you, though, I think if anything, I'm going Leafs money line. I expect a response. This is not a best bet, but I would lean that way, especially at the plus 120. Vegas back-to-back. I expect the Leafs response. I expect Matthews, Nylander. I expect your defense to show up here tonight in this one. I would lean more towards that way and give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, hey, we've been playing good hockey. We stunk the joint out on Tuesday. We were tired. We've gotten a bit of a break. We've adjusted to the time zone. We play at 9:30, which would be, I guess, 6:30 local time there in Vegas for tonight's game. Let's go with the Maple Leafs leaning in this one, money line wise. Total, I don't fucking know. Not going to lie to you. 6, minus 115 over, minus 105 under. I just would leave it. 6 is probably fair. Let's go to our goal scorers page where we're going to find our best bet. We've only got one. We're keeping it simple. William Nylander, anytime goal, plus 200. We're going a half unit on this. $50 will profit you 100 in this game tonight. William Nylander, anytime goal, profiting you 100 tonight. Look, same goes for Matthews. When these guys get hot, they can go on a tear. Both of them failed to score on Tuesday night's game against Utah. Both of them scored against Colorado on Monday. Both of them have been playing a lot better recently. Nylander, if you look at his last 5 games there, which you can see on Bet365, 2 goals, 1 goal, 1 goal, 1 goal, 0 goals against Utah. I think he gets back on track tonight, and I think part of the motivation for William Nylander is the we don't need you stuff when it comes to Mitch Marner. You could only pick one of your elite skilled right wingers, apparently. They chose William Nylander, or they kept William Nylander, I should say. William Nylander might come out tonight and prove something. Hey, I can do what you can do, but I can score fucking goals, unlike you. So watch this. And Barrie against the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. I think he's got a little bit of a motivation behind him. I think the entire team knows they stunk on Tuesday, and I think they respond, and I think William Nylander responds. So anytime goal for William Nylander in this one tonight is your best bet. Half unit, $50, profiting you 100. That's all for today's game preview. If you like this video, hit that like button. Make sure to drop comments below on here. I want to know how you guys feel about the best bet, the lines, my thoughts on what the line should be, as well as maybe your thoughts in general about what the Leafs will do tonight in their matchup against Mitch Marner. Actually, I'm going to throw one thing out there. The Leafs should know better than anybody how to shut Mitch down. I mean, aside from going to his hotel room, or aside from going to his house and leaving a note on the mat that says, tonight is game 7 of the playoffs, because if that were the case and he woke up this morning and read that, he'll probably disappear before the puck even drops. Aside from that, if you show up and play physical on Mitch Marner, he will be gone from this game. Gone. He will have no impact, no ability to respond, No pushback in this one. So if the Leafs just show up and play physical on Mitch Marner and they make his life hell tonight, I can't imagine he does any damage to you at all. They obviously have other guys who can get the better of you, but if they just show up and bully Mitch Marner, he will disappear in this game. He will shrink faster than anybody you could imagine. The amount of interest he'll have in playing the first time somebody hits him will be negative. He'll be sitting on the bench hoping Bruce Cassidy doesn't even know he's there anymore if you play a physical game against Mitch Marner. If someone goes out there and bullies Mitch Marner, the fan base will be erecting a statue outside of Scotiabank Arena come tomorrow morning. That's my final words. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for liking. I will be live following tonight's game for another edition of Leafs Nation after dark to break down everything that happens in this one. And I will be joined live from T-Mobile Arena by Nic Robertson. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys tonight. Until then, keep leafing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nic Robertson and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.